The call started on a Tuesday. My name is Ethan Walker. I live in Ashford, Washington. It's a small town surrounded by forest, fog, and more silence than any person really needs. I've lived here all my life. My grandmother, Margaret, was buried here in 2009. I remember the funeral, or at least, I remember what a 5-year-old can remember. Rain, a hymn I didn't understand, and the way my mother whispered, "Don't cry." She wouldn't want you to cry, but last week, my grandmother called me, and she hasn't stopped. It started on a Tuesday. It was 11:38 p.m. I remember because the microwave was blinking at me. I had just reheated leftover mac and cheese and dropped onto the couch like it was trying to swallow me whole. I'd been working long hours at the logging site just outside town. Same routine every day, same numbness, until the phone rang. Not my cell. The landline, which hasn't rung since I moved in. The screen didn't say unknown. It simply said, "Private caller." At first, I thought it was a telemarketer or worse. Someone from town who still thought landlines were how people communicated. But then I answered. There was a crackle. Not static, breathing, and then the voice. Soft, shaky, familiar. "Ethan, are you alone?" I didn't say anything at first. I couldn't, because I recognized the voice, not just vaguely, not maybe, I knew it. It was hers, Margaret Walker, my grandmother, but that's impossible. I buried her. I remember the casket, the flowers, the way my mom didn't cry until the last shovel of dirt. I hung up. I didn't sleep that night. The next night, the call came again. Same time. 1:38 p.m. Same number. Private caller. I stared at the phone as it rang. Let it ring 4 times, 5. Then I answered. Same voice, same breath, but a new phrase. "Don't let them take the house." And then the click. I tried calling the number back. It didn't exist. My landline provider said no calls had been made or received on my line in the last 30 days, even though now. It had happened twice. I checked the windows, the locks. I couldn't explain it, but I felt watched, not from the outside, but from beneath the house. I live in the house my grandmother left behind. Old wooden, creaky floors, a cellar I never open, a second bedroom I keep closed, even though I don't remember why. I told myself it was a dream. Maybe work stress, maybe an old memory resurfacing in my voice, like trauma echoing in audio. But on the third night, the voice wasn't just familiar. It knew things. "You left the porch light on again." She said it right before I noticed it. I turned to the front window, and sure enough, the porch light was glowing. I hadn't turned it on. The next morning, I found something that shook me more than the calls. On the kitchen table was a letter. Old paper, handwritten, yellowed at the edges. It was folded once, exactly how my grandmother used to fold things. Inside it said, "They lied about my death. The truth is in the basement." It was signed, Margaret. I hadn't been in the basement since I moved in. The key was gone. The door had always been stuck, but now it was slightly open, just an inch, just enough to let cold air crawl up the stairs. That night the call came earlier. 11:10 p.m., same voice. But this time, before I could say anything, I heard it, a second voice on the line, faint, male, screaming, or choking, or both. Then her again. "Don't go down there." "Ethan, not yet." Click. I started keeping a notebook, writing down every detail, each night she calls. Each night she says something new. Each night it's closer to something. Final, I don't tell anyone. I can't. Who would believe it? And worse, part of me doesn't want to stop it, because no matter how terrifying it is to hear the voice of someone who should be gone, it's her, I know it. I feel it in the way my hands shake before the phone rings, in the way the air thickens right before I hear her breath. And tonight is night 20. Ethan has received 19 calls from his dead grandmother. She warns him about the house, leaves notes that shouldn't exist, and the basement is no longer silent. There's something wrong with the walls. I know that sounds paranoid, like someone who's been alone too long. But I'm not just hearing things, I'm feeling them. The way the air changes, the way the corners of the house seem to watch me when I pass. Ever since the call started, I feel like the house is breathing. On day 20, I found the photograph. It wasn't mine. I didn't take it, and yet, it was lying on my kitchen floor when I came back from work. Face down, perfectly centered like someone had placed it there. When I turned it over, my breath caught in my throat. It was a picture of me, asleep, in my own bed, taken from inside the room. I live alone. My doors were locked. My windows were shut. And still someone, or something, had been there, watching, close. But that wasn't the worst part. Behind my sleeping body, barely in focus, standing in the hallway, was my grandmother's same dress I remembered from when I was a child. The maroon one with the white lace collar, the one she wore to church every Sunday, only now it was wrinkled, stained, and torn at the shoulder. Her face was blurry, but her hand was reaching toward the camera, toward me. I burned the photograph. I didn't think. I just grabbed a lighter, took it outside, and watched it curl into black ash on the back porch. The next morning, it was back, lying on the floor, same spot, same position, but this time, there was writing on the back, in my grandmother's handwriting. He knows you're awake now. That was the day I stopped turning off the lights. I didn't go to work. I didn't leave the house. I started taping black construction paper over the windows like a bunker. I turned on every light in every room. The bathroom, the closet, even inside the fridge. Every corner of the house had to be lit because something was moving in the shadows. I could hear it. And worse, it started whispering. Not words at first. Just movement, a creak behind the fridge when I looked away, a soft thump under the floorboards near the couch. The static hum of the old TV, even though I haven't plugged it in for months. Then the calls changed. They started coming twice a night. Then 3 times, same voice, same question. Ethan, are you still alone? But I wasn't anymore. I could feel her, even when she wasn't speaking. Even when the phone was silent, I'd wake up to smells. The way her perfume used to drift into my bedroom when she'd come to tuck me in. Or the smell of her cooking. Onions and garlic. Baked potatoes, warm buttered corn. Only now, it came with the stench of rot. On the 23rd night, she said something new, something that didn't sound like a warning. It sounded like a countdown. You need to remember what you buried. The one beneath the one. I didn't know what that meant, but my body did. I started shaking uncontrollably, like my muscles were remembering something my brain couldn't. That day I found something behind the mirror, in the bathroom, behind the medicine cabinet. A hollow space I never knew existed. Inside was a box, small, metal, locked with a rusted latch. I broke it open. Inside were old letters, dozens of them, all written to me, each one dated a year apart. 2009, 2010, 2011, all the way to 2022, all signed Grandma M, but they were written in the past tense, as if I had died. Ethan, today would have been your 12th birthday. I baked your favorite cake and left a slice out just in case. The dog still waits for you by the window. I think she sees you sometimes. I keep hearing your voice in the basement. It's not possible. But I hear you. Why would she write letters like this? Was it grief dementia? Or something worse? Something that blurred the line between memory and time? I called my mother. I hadn't spoken to her in over a year. She answered with hesitation, her voice tired, like she'd been expecting me to call for years, but dreading the moment I did. I asked her straight, "Did Grandma ever lose her mind?" There was silence on the line, then a long breath, and then 5 words I'll never forget. She used to say that. "About you." I didn't understand. She used to say what? But my mother didn't answer. Instead, the call dropped. No static, no disconnection notice. Just dead silence. When I tried to call back, the number didn't exist. My mother's number. My mother. Gone. I tore the house apart looking for more, and that's when I found it. The second door to the basement, not the one in the hallway. This one was behind the bookshelf in the guest room. A false wall, with a door that led down into a part of the house I never knew existed, and carved into the wood at the top of the staircase were 5 words. "Only the dead go here." I stood there for hours, listening. The steps didn't echo. They absorbed sound. The air was thick, wet, like the inside of something alive. At 3 a.m. the landline rang. I ran back upstairs to answer. My hands were shaking, my legs numb. "But I picked up." "Don't go down yet," she said. "Not until you remember what happened." And then she said something else, something that made my skin crawl. "They'll be watching now." I didn't sleep after that night, not because I couldn't, but because I didn't trust sleep anymore. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt something shift. Not in the world, in me, like my thoughts didn't belong to me, like I was borrowing them from someone else. The basement door stayed shut. I kept it that way, but it called not with voices, not with sound, but with gravity. Every room in the house felt tilted toward that door, like I was living on the edge of a black hole. The pull was subtle at first, but it grew, so I started locking the guest room, piling furniture in front of the bookshelf, avoiding even walking by that side of the house. I knew what was behind that wall, and it knew me. On day 25, I woke up on the kitchen floor. My back ached, my neck stiff. The lights were out, every one of them. I had left them on. That's when I noticed the static, not from a TV, from the landline. It was off the hook, the receiver lying next to my head, and someone had left it on speaker, a low hum broken by breaths. Then, a voice. My voice. "I'm sorry," it said. I didn't mean to wake up. Then silence. Then a sound I can barely describe, like something peeling skin from paper. Then another voice. Hers. "It's not about you." Ethan. It never was. Click. I stumbled to my feet, heart pounding, and that's when I saw it. My reflection in the kitchen window. Only I hadn't moved yet, and the reflection had. I froze. Slowly, I raised my hand, my reflection. Raised the other. It was flipped, but not like a mirror. It was delayed, and then it smiled. I didn't. I ran upstairs to the bathroom, turned on the light, stared into the mirror until tears filled my eyes. It looked like me, but it didn't feel like me. The eyes were too still, the skin too pale, and beneath the jawline I noticed a faint bruise forming, one I didn't remember getting. I checked my phone. The wallpaper was different. My photos were gone, replaced by images I didn't recognize me, but in other places, a classroom I'd never attended, a cabin I'd never visited, me holding a woman I'd never met, smiling, wearing a wedding band. On the last photo, someone had written, "You're not the first." I smashed the phone, not because I wanted to, because I was afraid it would keep changing. I needed answers. And the only place left to look was the basement. I removed the bookshelf, unlocked the hidden door, held a flashlight in one hand and a crowbar in the other, like it could protect me from whatever was waiting below. The air hit me like wet cloth, heavy, smelling of earth, metal, and something older. The stairs groaned under my weight. Halfway down, my flashlight flickered, then died, total darkness except for a light, faint, bluish, coming from beneath the floor. The basement wasn't empty. It was a room, a small concrete chamber, maybe 10x10, and in the center, a chair facing the wall, with someone sitting in it, back turned, still, not breathing. Covered in a white sheet, I didn't move, didn't speak, but I knew it was me. I stepped closer. Every inch felt like a betrayal of logic. How could I exist here and there? But this body, whoever it was, had my posture, my scars, the mole on my wrist, the same bruise on the jaw. I reached for the sheet, and as I pulled it down, the head turned on its own, eyes black, mouth sewn shut, and carved into its forehead. "Remember?" I screamed. Not because of what I saw, because I remembered. And in that flash, I saw it all. The accident, the fire, the moment my grandmother tried to save me. The moment I pulled her back into the house. The way she screamed as the ceiling collapsed. She didn't die in her sleep. I killed her. I ran, not because I thought I could escape. I knew I couldn't. But something inside me refused to stay still. I tore up the stairs, slammed the basement door shut, locked it, nailed it shut, like nails could hold back something that remembered how I scream. I didn't sleep for 2 days. Not really. Every time my eyes drifted, something pulled me back, a noise, a whisper, a breath on my ear. I started seeing flashes of memories that weren't mine, or they were, but they didn't belong to this version of me. I remembered birthdays I never had, a brother who never existed, a schoolyard with a swing I'd never touched. And yet I could feel the rust on my hands, and in every memory, she was there, watching, Grandma Margaret, but not smiling, not warm, waiting. The landline rang again. Day 27. This time it didn't ask if I was alone. "He's awake," the voice said. "He wants to come back." Then a second voice, my own. "You said I could stay." "You're not him," she whispered back. Then the call cut off. I stopped trying to pretend I was sane. Because I wasn't. The house wasn't haunted. It was alive, and worse, it was building me again. The bathroom mirror started showing new bruises, scars forming where I didn't remember being hurt. Hair shorter one day, longer the next, my face slightly off, like it was reconstructing me based on some older blueprint, like the real me had died. And now the house was piecing together what was left. I found the second me again, not in the basement. In the attic, naked, cold, shivering, curled in a fetal position. It looked at me and begged, "Please, don't put me back down there." I shut the attic door. I never went back up. Day 29. The light stopped working. No matter how many bulbs I changed, no matter what switches I flipped, the house wanted darkness now. And in the dark, I heard her footsteps again, soft, slow, sticky. I locked myself in the kitchen, but the door opened anyway, not broken, not forced. It just let her in. She stood in the doorway. My grandmother, only it wasn't her. Her eyes were empty, mouth stitched like the thing in the basement. Skin gray, waxy, rippling with something underneath, like hands pressing against it from the inside. She didn't move, but her voice filled the room. "You remembered. Now you owe me." I tried to speak, but my mouth wouldn't open. My jaw locked, my hands frozen. She stepped closer, and with every step the walls pulsed. Wood creaked like ribs under pressure. The floorboards wept. She reached into her chest, pulled out a box, the same one I found behind the mirror, and she placed it on the table. Inside, something moved. It was breathing. "He never left," she said. "You just forgot. Now let him in." She stepped back, and I saw me, the Ethan from the basement, crawl out from under the table, eyes black, teeth broken, but smiling. "I'm whole now," he said. "You're the shadow." The lights flickered once, then total black, and I felt him enter me, not like possession, like replacement. He slid in, and I slid out. I woke up on the floor, naked, bloody. The landline was in my hand. It was ringing. I picked up. "Ethan," she said. "Are you alone?" I whispered back, "Not anymore. I live in the same house, at least." It looks like the same house. The floor still creaks in the same places. The windows still shudder at night. The smell of old books, dust, and mothballs still clings to the walls like skin. But something's off. The angles are wrong, like it was rebuilt from memory. Not mine, someone else's. I wake up every morning in a body that feels about 3% too tight. Like it's mine, but not completely. Sometimes I forget my middle name. Sometimes I remember a sister I never had, and sometimes I walk past mirrors without casting a reflection for a full second. I time it. No one calls anymore. Not even her. The landline still works. It's silent now, but not dead. I leave the receiver off the hook sometimes. Not to listen, just to feel something, just to see if she'll speak again. I don't go outside much, not because I'm scared. Because I don't think I'm supposed to. I don't know who lives in the town anymore. I walk to the mailbox once a week. There's never anything in it. The neighbors, if they exist, never wave. Sometimes I see shapes in their windows. Sometimes those shapes look like me. I found a notebook in the attic. Not the one I used. A new one. Filled with pages of handwriting I don't recognize, but also kind of do. Every page says the same thing, over and over. You are not Ethan, but you'll be close enough. She forgives you. He doesn't. Sometimes at night, I dream I'm in the basement again. Not the one with concrete and cold. The other basement, the one below that. The one that shouldn't exist. There are others down there. I see them sometimes. Curled up like I was, different faces, same eyes, and all of them. Trying to remember who they used to be. The voice in my head isn't always mine. It whispers things I shouldn't know. Things that haven't happened yet. Like when the power's going to go out, or which memory will fade next, or what the weather will be on the day I finally stop pretending. There's a mirror in the hallway. I pass by it every morning. I try not to look. But some mornings, it speaks, not in words. In movement, it shows me smiling when I'm not. Blinking too late. Turning to the left when I turned right. Last week I stood in front of it for 6 full minutes. The reflection never moved. Then it winked. I don't know who I am anymore, but I know this. The house remembers. The house chose me, or maybe what was left of me, and whatever came back up from that basement was never meant to live. Tonight, the landline rang. For the first time in weeks, I picked it up. There was no voice. Only breathing, but not hers, mine from the other side. And then, a boy's voice, small, soft, 5 years old. Grandma. I'm scared. Why is the man in my bed wearing my face? Click.